what do you guys know about the Millet?
I don't know, let's find out.
Okay, Brad, today we have the Millet.
Not the mullet.
Yeah, what is that? I have the mullet, you have the Millet. What is that thing?
Millet's like a grain, but this Millet is 7.6, -3.1. Newer mold from Clash. You probably see real domey, feels really understable.
Yeah, it does feel understable.
But the -3.1 always intrigues me because I'm like, hey, this thing's coming back though.
You sound a little bit more hopeful than I am about its stability.
I'm just hopeful because it's fun. It looks fun, it feels fun.
Yeah, I do think that this disc is gonna be more of a beginner disc, or if you're looking for a foreshore roller every time, I think this is gonna be your disc. Honestly, in the hand, doesn't feel like the most comfortable disc I've ever touched. I really like Clash. I like that they have more unique molds and they're not carbon copies of other companies' molds.
Yep.
This is definitely one of those. It doesn't feel great. It kind of feels like a starter pack disc, just in the,
a little bit.
The odd dome shape. It's got a weird shoulder on it, but that's all things that you do to make sure that a disc is understable. So I understand why it doesn't feel great to me. But plastic feels good, just like Clash always does. Feels fine, honestly. Yeah. I don't feel super inspired by it, but I'm not disgusted.
I'm hoping for a little bit of surprise, but let's get at it and throw. Let's throw the Millet out on some hyzer and see what happens. I was a little scared of it on hyzer. Let's see if I can get it on flat and keep it up in the air. That's 250 again. Obviously drifted way more right. I don't know, you just ever have a disc you feel like you just can't throw very hard? That's how I'm feeling about the Millet right now. I might regret this. Let's throw this on some Annie. I'll give it like a big sky Annie here for you. Cover your important parts. Again, that was about 250, big sky Annie. That was kind of pretty, it was a little fun. So last but not least, let's throw this on some forehand. I have a lot of hyzer on my forehand, so this could have some potential to be something beautiful, or it's gonna be really ugly. All right, we pushed that forehand out to 265. Not terrible, that didn't turn at all, so I don't know what's going on. Let's see what Konner thinks.
Honestly, I think I'm even more confused by this disc now. It might not be the roller machine we thought. Yeah, this disc is definitely not as understable as we thought. I threw that high on a lot of hyzer, and it did flip up and get a little bit of turn. So I'm really interested to see what happens whenever I put it flat. When thrown flat, it definitely pretty unstable. I threw that high, nose up, pretty true to flat, and it still turned the entire way. All right, I'm gonna go for another flat shot here. I'm gonna go a little bit lighter and a little bit lower. Okay, I would say pretty confidently I threw that probably about 55, 60% power, and it just stood up, turned over, and came back. All right, that last shot went about 306. Here's what I think is really gonna satisfy my curiosity. It is time for the anhyzer. I'm gonna try to air this one out and make it a big, long panning anhyzer, and then next I might just go full roller. Okay, on anhyzer, I don't really see this being a disc that's gonna fully pan out of the shot for me, or pan at all. I think it's just gonna hold, but maybe it's a sick roller disc. I suck at throwing rollers, but throwing that nose up and high, it still rolled. All right, let's see if we can finesse a forehand. Okay, forehand, it went about 280. I don't really mind it forehand. Brad, I'm not gonna lie, I think I'm a little more confused than I was before I threw it.
Same, I do not know. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'd give this disc a question mark so far.
Yeah, I agree. I would give it the whatever the symbol is for Prince. Let's take it to some Frisbee holes where we think we could maybe toss it?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Frisbee stuff. All right, I'm not a liar. I would never throw this disc on this hole, but I'm gonna try for you. Maybe throw it like kind of a little right of the basket, let it turn, and maybe find that little bit of fade at the end. Who knows? Listen, all right, it's not a bad disc. I just don't know what to do with it.
That's gonna be really good. That might be in. Nice part.
Well played, Millet. Best shot I've ever thrown on this hole.
Now, I am a liar, and I would throw this disc on this hole every single time. I would say that this disc is definitely a confusing disc. My overall thoughts on it, feels funky in the hand, leads me to believe it's gonna have a funky flight.
Right.
Doesn't have a funky flight. For my arm speed, it's not understable enough to be fun, and it's not consistently straight or overstable enough for it to be a disc that I would throw often, and it doesn't do anything fancy enough to warrant it feeling so weird in my hand. That being said, we did both throw it well.
That's true. Yeah, for me, like it doesn't have like that fairway feel like I want a fairway to have where I feel like confident with it. It does feel more like, to me, more like a 6-speed, less a 7-speed.
Yes.
And for me, for my arm speed, it's like almost too touchy. If I don't throw it with like the perfect amount of like speed, it's gonna be more understable or be more stable than I want it to be. It's a disc that's gonna break your heart, I think.
Here's the way I feel about it though. I know that this disc, there's a person out there for it.
Oh,
you know, it has
this.
a soulmate of an arm to throw it.
Yeah.
I don't know who it is, but somebody's gonna love the way that disc feels, and somebody's gonna love the way that disc flies, because there's nothing wrong with the way that it flies. It's just like, it's just kind of like a weird tweener disc.
Yeah.
This disc makes me feel like I don't know how discs work.
I really think it's one of those discs where you could hand it to someone that's fairly new, that's been playing for a month or so, and they probably would throw it really well. It'd become like their favorite disc.
Here's what we're gonna do, Brad. I'm gonna throw it left-handed and see how it would fly for a beginner.
Okay. I also feel like I can throw okay left-handed.
Okay, lefty boys. I think your lefty thrower name should be Darb.
I like that.
Great throw, Darb. Honestly, pretty good beginner disc. All right, Brad's lefty name is Darb, and mine's gonna be Konner Kennedy.
All right, Connor, we threw it on some hyzer, we threw it on some Annie, threw it flat, threw it forehand, threw it lefty.
Yeah.
Now it's just time to get frick. Really looks fine.
She's scuffed. That's just scuffed. Must be pretty good plastic then. It is very scuffed.
Feels a little grainy.
Yeah, it's weird. we're so out of the shot. We'll squat. Yeah, let's see how it flies after getting fricked.
Should be a little flippy.
Brad, I think it's a little bit more understable. It's a considerable bit. It's a considerable bit. It's a considerable.
He's trying to say it's more stable.
It's a considerable.
No, less stable.
It's a
considerable bit more understable.
I'm just gonna put it in post. More understable, less overstable than it was before.
Yeah, really feeling that -3.
I'm feeling -3 right now.
Yeah, you know, again, I think it showed the best test we did today was the left-handed throw.
Yes.
That made me very confident that I feel like I'm teaching people quite often these days, at least how to play, not like how to be good, but just how to play disc golf. And that's a disc I can confidently put in anyone's hand if they're like, oh, I want to throw a driver, that looks cool.
Yeah.
Like that will make them feel good about themselves. They can throw it decently, and that'll be like, you saw us with the left hand, straight with a little bit of fade. It'd be great.
Brad, this is not a good analogy. I'm just gonna pretend like this is how it works.
Okay.
Millet is grain, right?
Yes.
What happens if you take a grain and you plant it in the ground?
Oh, it grows, I think.
Yes.
Wait, does it?
I guess a grain is technically it grown as well, but let's pretend that grain means more something along the
like
lines
a
of a
seed.
seed.
Okay.
Yes. You plant it in the ground and it grows. And this is a great disc that you plant in the hand of a beginner and they grow as a disc golfer. I think it's a great beginner disc. I would hand it to any beginner. And for that reason, I would say this is a good disc. Yep. And hey, if you are this disc soulmate, because I did say that I believe you're out there, go check it out at foundationdisc.com. We've got it on there probably right now. If not, then you can join our email list and you'll get an email maybe whenever they do show up.
Check it out on the app as well. We have an app, download it, it's free, and you're gonna get notifications there, especially our weekly warehouse lives where you can see all these discs actually before they go up.
And please let us know what you would like to see in these reviews in the future. What's gonna help you understand these discs better? We feel like we gave you a very good in-depth review of what the Mullet flies like as far as we can understand. Millet, yes. And by mullet, I mean millet. And we will see you guys in the next one. Thank you.